Mm.
Should I start letting people in?
Okay. What is it? 10:57.
Yeah.
Let's give it a minute. I notice. Well, so far the three folks, I notice all three names.
I see that too.
So I couldn't help myself. I added like 8 more slides since I talked to you last night. I could not stop myself from doing it. I'm like, ugh, I have to. But I feel better about the flow now a little bit. So
Okay. Nice.
yeah, I think I'm just gonna reference instead of maybe pointing everyone to our website. I'll just reference our YouTube page. I thought we were gonna post like the whole presentation and everything, or slide deck, or well, maybe not slide deck, but something on our website. Having it kind of in advisory services and then professional services, it's kind of
Yeah, I
feels
know.
like it's a little clunky to get there. I thought it was just going to be on our blog page.
We could add it to the blog page too. I'll work with that, Cole, on that. All right. You okay if I let people in?
Yeah, we can let folks in.
All right.
Folks will just start trickling in here over the next couple of minutes. Morning, folks. We'll start here in just a couple of minutes. We'll give everyone a little bit of time to get here. Okay, why don't we get things kicked off? It's 11, and just like the last session, I've got a lot of content to cover. So hopefully this is a little over um, 40 minutes, 45 minutes. That way we leave enough time for questions at the end. Um, because I'm sure there'll be plenty of questions, lots of content in this area and in this field. So I I'm hopefully able to cover a lot of the new information that's out there around AI, what you can do to kind of secure, protect, and govern it. But let's kick things off. So, welcome everybody. My name's Andrew Klimek. I'm with Cyber Advisors, and for those of you who are kind of unfamiliar to us, I'll give you just a brief synopsis. So, we help provide customized professional IT security solutions and services to over 3,000 clients. Our headquarters is operating out of Maple Grove, Minnesota, with a couple additional offices in Burnsville and in Fargo, and remote workers in 20 plus states at this point. And we serve everything from kind of the SMB, the small medium business clients, mid market, as well as enterprise organizations across the country, offering everything from managed services, security services such as offensive, defensive, or compliance management, networking, and cloud and modern work, implementations, or advisory services. I myself have been here for nearly 12 years already, and I help lead our cloud and modern work practice. Over that time, I've worked closely on numerous different Microsoft kind of cloud-centric capabilities and solutions, with lately a pretty heavy focus around just Microsoft security in general as they continue to kind of bolster their portfolio stack, just to be able to protect user identities and the data estate for organizations. So, with that said, in the last session, we discussed kind of the different security features and capabilities that you can leverage to secure your environment, protect those identities, and govern your data. Ultimately, this is what we're trying to achieve with generative AI solutions, services as well. In today's session, we'll kind of cover how you can secure and manage AI within 365 for both Copilot as well as third-party generative AI apps. I'll also do a quick run through of the new features that have been recently released since Microsoft's Ignite conference last month. So, earlier in the year, Microsoft released AI Hub within Microsoft Purview. It's since been rebranded, as most things that Microsoft often do, and it's now called the very catchy title Data Security Posture Management for AI. Quite a mouthful, but this is the new modern data governance solution for responsible analytics and generative AI. So it gives you both the ability to secure and audit your data being handled by AI solutions. I'm not going to get too attached to the name because I expect the marketing team to change this name. This feels like it's a mouthful, so bear with me. I'll just use the DSPM acronym from here on out. So DSPM for AI is going through a lot of changes right now, and I expect even more to come to this portal over the next few months as Microsoft continues to bolster these abilities and how to handle AI services. This portal is meant to be used in conjunction with other services that we previously talked about over the last few sessions in both October and November. And whether it's data loss prevention policies, data classification, insider risk management, utilizing something like CASB or endpoint DLP to restrict unauthorized or unapproved access to generative sites, or the different solutions that the organization wants to restrict as a whole. So there's a lot of potential that I expect coming to this portal, and I know we have a ton of interest in the community to be able to properly audit and handle this new technology. So as Microsoft continues to build this out, they've already started to include some recommendations to help start your AI protection and governance journey, like I'm showing on the screen right now, as a way to track what has been completed and what Microsoft's also recommending based on a number of different criteria that's already been configured within your tenant. So this will pull from other purview configurations to again help protect, secure, or govern AI. You're going to hear that as a common phrase throughout this. So as part of the recommendations within the DSPM for AI Hub, they've added compliance regulations. Uh, these are the security framework templates to better manage risk to individuals, organizations, and society associated with artificial intelligence. So these can be overlaid with existing templates that you might apply to an organization if you have to adhere to strict regulations. Then as part of the DSPM policies, it'll display existing purview services configured beyond the recommendations and how other services in purview can help protect, secure, and govern AI, such as data loss prevention policies, insider risk management detection rules, or compliance, communication compliance policies to monitor inappropriate or unethical behavior. And then finally, they've included an overall health assessment as it relates to oversharing risks within these recommendations. This, I think, is going to be big for a lot of organizations, and it can be useful to them to, if you don't know where to start in your AI journey, or if you're concerned that there's risk to your data, this can be incredibly helpful as it will not only show you the different SharePoint sites, but what's being accessed, who's accessing those files within a specific site, all in a single pane of glass, as well as documents that are being shared externally or with specific individuals. So let's take a look at how we can address concerns with generative AI solutions through a few different examples. The first common scenario that we see is a data leak, where we have a high risk user leaking, whether intentionally or unintentionally, sensitive data into a consumer AI app such as ChatGPT. We've seen this type of incident in the news that companies block AI usage outright because they don't have a good handle of it, or they don't know how to control what's going into it. So this is how Purview can help. With the DSPM for AI portal, it can show you what types of AI apps are being used, the sensitive data in those prompts, and the user risk context for those who use AI apps, including Copilot and third party. And then once you have that visibility and you want to prevent it from happening, for those specific incidents, you can create an endpoint DLP policy to prevent users from copying and pasting sensitive data or uploading sensitive files to something such as ChatGPT. And this is supported in different browsers, Chrome, Edge, and now Firefox as well. And then finally, you have adaptive protection in Microsoft Purview. So, however, you may not want to block all users because that it can impact the overall productivity. Uh, and if that's the case, you can leverage adaptive protection in Microsoft Purview, where it'll help block high risk users from exfiltrating data while still allowing the low risk users to work as normal. So, with all three of these actions, implemented, you can prevent this type of data leak or these types of incidents from occurring. So let's show a few screenshots to kind of bring this to life. So within the portal, it provides you visibility into the usage of AI, including Copilot and third-party apps. It'll show you the sensitive data in those prompts and breaks it down by app. So you can see the sensitive data flowing into things like Copilot, ChatGPT, Bard. This is an older screenshot. Now it's Gemini, Copy AI, and other services. So you'll notice in that bottom right-hand corner, the total prompts with sensitive data that's been identified and the apps that it's been identified in. It also gives you insights on the user risk context for those who use AI apps. This risk context is powered by the Insider Risk Management, which can detect high-risk users who took actions that may lead to potential data security incidents. And then if you want to learn more about a specific type of activity within or surrounding AI apps, the Activity Explorer in the DSPM hub gives you that visibility. You can pivot into different views to help you understand better your data security risks that may reside. And then, for example, if I click on File Upload to the cloud and learn more about this first activity, I can see that Mona uploaded the files containing credit card information to Google. I can see the date, the time, and the user account information to help me understand the potential riskiness of this activity. So now that we understand a little bit more on how we gain that visibility into the sensitive data, how can we prevent it from happening? So if we take this example, we have a confidential project called Project Obsidian in our tenant, and it's labeled confidential at the very top. And now that it's protected and associated with proper data security policies, including encryption, when a user tries to copy that and paste it into a generative AI app, they'll receive a notification at the top that it's automatically being blocked and it's preventing that data from going into unauthorized solutions. The next scenario that we have is data oversharing or overexposure. So for example, if a user asks Copilot to summarize Project Obsidian for her without appropriate security or compliance controls around the data or the files, Copilot can find that information, summarize the confidential project to that user, and then grab those files and save it to a USB device, which is exfiltrating it for personal gain. So how can Purview and DSPM help with this? So organizations can set up communication compliance policies to detect whenever user prompts containing the keywords Project Obsidian and get alerts to notify when this happens. So that gives them the visibility into these potential risks. Organizations can also set up sensitivity labels to protect this data automatically in kind of two different facets. You can either allow users to manually apply appropriate labels, or if they're in an organizational location, such as a SharePoint site, you can have auto labeling, auto apply everything, say, within the Project Obsidian site as confidential to properly protect that data. And we'll touch on that within SharePoint sites a little bit more because Microsoft's expanded those capabilities as far as restriction goes to give more granularity, especially for the individuals or the organizations that are trying to get off the ground quickly with generative AI solutions in their organization. So by taking all three of these actions, a user can be detected as a potentially high-risk individual. Copilot won't share that information out from the sensitive project, and it protects the data from being exfiltrated. So let's take a look at a few screenshots for this as well. So within communication compliance, it can detect the prompts that attempt to get access or information to this project, and it helps the organization investigate this further. And then if a user has access to Project Obsidian, and let's say they try and create a frequently asked questions document from that data, it'll generate that. And Copilot can create that content, but you'll notice at the top, it's auto labeling that policy as confidential with the new information that it's generating from previous documents. Because it understands if it's referencing information from other confidential documents, that information in this document should also be classified as confidential. So the Copilot response itself will be labeled to protect the message as well. So if users open the response in a Word document and the document is labeled and protected, you can also see those references in the responses below that it was marked as confidential, protected, based on specific keywords or our DLP policies. And then finally, The last scenario here is non-compliant usage. So for example, a user can leverage Copilot and create fake content, such as a stock manipulation. And this user is now being investigated by the company. So how can Purview help something like this? First, you can detect the content, such as the manipulation, via the machine learning trainable classifier. And it's not just a keyword based detection, it's machine learning that helps you understand the contents or the context of the content and then flags the alert to the organization. Then organizations can retain all the data in Copilot interactions with the retention policies and the data lifecycle management. And it records all the activity logs in Microsoft Audit. And then finally, that data and those logs, teams can conduct investigations using e-discovery tool to preserve, collect, and review any relevant data, including interactions with Copilot. So with these actions, organizations can effectively detect, investigate non-compliant usage. So let's take a look at this through a few screenshots. So in here, organizations can detect a user that is creating content to manipulate a Contoso stock, making it a weak stock in this content. So communication compliance can detect the intent here and collect it as evidence. And then you can turn on the retention policies for all Copilot interactions. And it'll log those activities within Copilot within that DSPM console. And then all relevant data you can then conduct with investigations within eDiscovery. And then finally, being able to identify the potential risky and business or regulatory violations within communication compliance. One other example here is that I personally run into several organizations recently that have reached out over the past couple of months, and they've identified malicious intent with users trying to exfiltrate data through multiple paths. The unfortunate part here is that these organizations didn't have communication compliance set up, or risky user policies, or data classification, or sensitivity labels. So an incident like this was much harder for them to contain. They couldn't do anything about the exfiltrated data. However, the good thing is that they did have audit logs available, so they did have enough of a case to verify what the actual intent was going on with those individuals. So, with the data security posture management for AI, the console is starting to shine and display those AI analytics to the forefront for the organization as well as the IT staff. So now let's jump into Copilot to get a better understanding of what the differences are in Copilot, the backend architecture, and the differences between generative AI third-party solutions and what Copilot can do in the workspace. So with chat AI models, they can assist in various roles, such as a photo designer, a cooking assistant, a vacation planner, a versatile tool for a wide range of tasks. But where Copilot differs is that it's meant to be a companion designed to enhance productivity, specifically in the workplace, where you're being able to utilize existing data points and the context from that to create responses to help. So to start off, there's three different flavors of Copilot. And yes, there's even more solutions under the Copilot umbrella, such as Copilot for Security, Copilot Studio. We won't be covering those. But if there is interest in the community in the future, we can always branch out into those in future sessions. There's really just way too much information on AI and Copilot that I don't want this to feel like too much of an overload. So with that said, there's a few different versions of the commercial Copilot solution. The free version, which was formerly Bing Chat, is very similar to ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, or Apple's Apple Intelligence. This is meant for general chat prompt assistance with web-based information results. Copilot Pro then is available for non-commercial 365 users only, meaning it's personal 365 accounts that can utilize Copilot within their Office suite of apps like Word or Excel or PowerPoint. They do not have the ability to use this within a business tenant. That's the key difference between Copilot Pro and the main one that we'll talk about here, which is Copilot for 365. This is the one that has the security layers around it. It can access your organizational data to help generate responses information. So let's focus on this one. So what does it mean? How can it access my data? How can it provide security when using Copilot over other solutions? So let's look at the architecture for a moment. I like this diagram. This is one of Microsoft's kind of early images in some of their videos that they published a few years ago. And this was how Microsoft originally described the architecture. You can follow the lines of how user prompts are used, how Copilot processes those prompts against any connectors and the Microsoft graph. And this is where Copilot starts to begin to separate itself from other solutions. So the Graph API, for those of you that are unfamiliar, has access to all your content, such as Teams messages, OneDrive files, SharePoint sites, emails, contacts, anything in 365. It then sends that modified prompt to its large language model, or the LLM, which contextualizes the data and the response. So this LLM is running in Azure OpenAI, but it's your own independent instance within your tenant. So this is very important because your data that's being processed never leaves your tenant at the end of the day. You control the boundary and the AI solution. Then finally, once that data is processed, and before it's returned to the end user, it goes through your data governance controls. So everything in Purview, those DLP rules, the communication compliance, the data labeling or the sensitivity labeling, and it'll filter out any information to the individual user that they should not have access to based on those settings. So when you create a Microsoft 365 subscription, a tenant is automatically created for your organization. The tenant sits inside this 365 service boundary, and Copilot is also within this boundary for your organization. So all the data in there, what the user can access, including their activities and content, Copilot has the ability to gain, but it never leaves your control at the end of the day. Including that Azure OpenAI service, the large language model, it's running in your separate instance. So Microsoft has designed it in a way to make sure that they don't have access to it. They're using responsible AI practices to ensure that your organization's data is not used to train their LLM and that it doesn't leave your organization's boundaries at the end of the day. This is the big difference between the commercial version of Microsoft 365 Copilot versus other generative AI solutions that can't offer that protection for organizations. So Copilot for 365 allows you to use the information on the internet, chat communications, emails, your app data, perhaps data from SharePoint sites or OneDrive as well. So this is good, right? It it can be with proper governance controls. Anyone who I've chatted with knows that I'm a very firm advocate that we want to be able to protect and govern your data at the end of the day. As much as you want to be able to trust your users, um, oftentimes you don't always know what they're doing and they don't always know what best practices should be, even if you have it well documented within your employee handbook or end user guides. So creating those proper guide rails to make sure that users don't inadvertently overshare information um, or you know intentionally or maliciously try to exfiltrate data. So this is what a large percentage of organizations are actually afraid of. So while Copilot and the use of AI come with incredible benefits, it comes with risks as well. And within a recent survey that Microsoft conducted, the top two concerns is lacking visibility into the risk, which is at 58% of all organizations believe they don't have visibility into these generative AI apps in their environment. And then 97% understand that they don't have proper controls and protections in place to govern AI usage. So let's delve into some of the real challenges organizations are currently facing, examining some of the common risk scenarios. So this first, organizations lack the visibility into the usage of generative AI apps, including apps that are being used, who are the users and the types of data shared. So insufficient visibility into the usage can increase security and compliance challenges, leading to incidents. Where at the beginning we talked about that data oversharing, whether intentional or unintentional, data leaks to non-approved third-party AI apps like ChatGPT, or non-compliant usage when creating false or fake content for their own means or gains. So Copilot is built with that security in mind to enhance protection, and additional security capabilities can be layered on to secure access, protect sensitive data, and govern Copilot usage. So you've heard me say this a bunch already, where it's the secure, protect, and govern model. Each one of these can do different capabilities, where this is where we've got DLP policies in place to help protect and to help audit that. We have the capabilities to search and export or investigate compliance incidents, and then being able to secure access with conditional access and app management, as well as the new feature, which is restricted SharePoint search, which we'll talk about a little bit more in detail here shortly. So Copilot for 365 is an add-on for 365 Business and Enterprise suites. The path that you choose or the plan that you choose really determines the security and compliance controls that are available. So even though you can use Copilot for 365 with Business Standard, and you do get some security features such as MFA and log retention, and restricted SharePoint search, you don't have as much robust capabilities as you do if you were layering it together with Business Premium or certain enterprise suites. We're going to have the ability to do more case management, manual sensitivity labels, retention labels, and data loss prevention policies. There's also additional add-ons beyond those for kind of granular control. We've discussed different things like Defender or endpoint DLP, communication compliance, insider risk management, machine learning sensitive labels. All of these are in individual add-ons to help tailor kind of what your security needs are at the end of the day. Now, note, these are not necessarily within the business premium licensing, but some of these features are available in the enterprise, like the E5 SKUs. Copilot also has a readiness assessment where we can help run through and determine where your organization is and how to help identify what you have and to better define a roadmap for your users to get running with Copilot. So this can be really useful in identifying the potential add-on services that you may need to help secure your data. And then if you're unsure about your journey into AI usage, or your security permissions may not be set where you're comfortable enough letting specific individuals run with Copilot at the start and being able to access your Graph API and your data, then you can use something like restricted SharePoint search. This allows admins to disable org-wide search and only enable it for a set of specific SharePoint sites that they trust. So the one big thing to note is that this is really available from anything business standard and above that you're using Copilot with, but it is meant to be a temporary solution because it does affect more than just the individuals with a Copilot license. It affects everybody's search capabilities when you're restricting certain sites within SharePoint. So let's look at this from an example of how this works. So when we go through where we've got two different sites of data, we've got a file share one with confidential information, file share two with public marketing information. So one contains sensitive information such as credit cards or employee information, and the other just has public data for pricing, plans, or solutions that they offer to clients. With restricted SharePoint search, this lets you exclude all the sites that may contain sensitive information, and then defining only the public marketing share as being available to Copilot. So this is great when you've already identified where some of your sensitive information exists within your tenant, but there's some examples where you should know that restricted SharePoint search does not work well in. So in this scenario, where if you have both sensitive and general data in one SharePoint site, then you're not going to really be able to restrict that because you don't have your sites properly split out. This is where you need further capabilities such as sensitivity labeling or data loss prevention rules. So finally, let's check out just a couple of new Copilot capabilities that are both within the Data Security Posture Management Hub, as well as new things that have been recently released from Microsoft Ignite last month. So Copilot Vision, it's meant to take that user chat information that's being returned from the internet and just making it more of an interactive approach for you to find things that you're searching on. Copilot agents, and yes, everything is labeled Copilot something, so bear with me, I'm going to say Copilot a lot. This uses natural language to enable any employee to design and operate like tailored, customized agents for their workflow. These can be specific tasks or processes that operate independently or dynamically depending on certain conditions that you set. It even has the ability to make decisions without human intervention based on automation. Then Copilot actions are a way to automate simple everyday actions, such as frequently asked questions or generating a weekly meeting summary. These can be handled on demand, scheduled, or even triggered by certain events. Copilot Analytics, which was announced at Ignite, is part of the Viva Insights, which is now included in Copilot at no additional charge. So this is designed to kind of empower the IT staff and business leaders to kind of measure adoption and the business impact that Copilot and agents are having to their organization. And it provides customizable like reporting for deeper analysis and key performance indicators. Then Copilot Dashboard, which is a way to view actions using different applications within Copilots. So metrics will soon be added within the Copilot dashboard for advanced insights to really see how the organization is adopting Copilot. It can show intelligent recap, actions taken within Teams or Word or other applications within the Office suite. It can display prompts submitted within the app chat section. So it's really just giving you more information at your fingertips to understand how that adoption journey is going throughout your business. And then Designer and Teams chat. So this allows you to interactively work to automatically generate images using Microsoft Designer. This was previously only available to non-business accounts over the course of the summer. This has recently changed and is now built into Teams chat. So if you want to generate cats flying in space, you can now do so within Teams. And then there's additional resources that are based on different roles, areas for user enablement, technical readiness, and the use to scale Copilot, all within the adoption.microsoft/Copilot library. This also invites you to kind of explore what's possible with Copilot on building prompt skills, creating content, joining the overall community, and using Copilot in different applications. Speaking of the prompt gallery, so what this allows users to save and share their frequent prompts with other individuals at the organization. This can be wildly useful if you have some individuals that are really using Copilot and they've really kind of dug deep and they're trying to use it in everything to be more effective. And then you have other individuals that are maybe struggling to understand how they can use it better in their workplace. Being able to have a prompt gallery, a personalized gallery for your organization with prompts that have been useful to other individuals, maybe within their own department, to help them start being more effective through their AI journey. And then scaling experiences, ways to just develop and gain more insight and capabilities within Copilot is now within the Copilot Academy, the Copilot Studio, Copilot Lab, Microsoft Learn. Everything has now been centralized. And it's being centralized within the Copilot scenario library, which is offering examples for use cases by different functions and metrics. This can be really helpful. Again, if you want specific kind of a day in the life of specific departments to help them get a better idea of how they can take advantage of Copilot or AI solutions to be more productive. And then finally, I just wanted to include this slide here because many organizations over the past few months that have been using AI Hub, which is now that data security posture management, and Copilot have had challenges. There's been a lot of bugs. A few individuals that I notice are on the call know exactly what I'm talking about because we've been struggling with them for months. Thankfully, many of those have been fixed in November, and you can see that Microsoft's roadmap, they had a number of things that they were trying to roll out, improve, and fix in November before Ignite. We've noticed a lot of those changes, but there's a lot more that's coming to Copilot as they continue to branch this out and make it more of a robust, tailored solution to the organizations that want to use it. So that's everything that I have. Thank you all for attending. If you have questions or anything discussed today, feel free to ask questions in chat. I'll stay around here. We've got good. I managed to do this in 40 minutes. I know I skipped through a lot of information. Again, if there's feedback, we would love to hear it, what you're interested about within, whether it's Copilot, being able to protect other generative AI solutions. We do have other information. Our previous two sessions from October and November are posted on our YouTube channel. They're also posted on our website. But Mark and I will stay around for the next 10 to 15 minutes and help answer any additional questions in chat.
Andrew, right off the bat, there is one that was submitted here. If you want to answer that.
Sure. So can it connect to Access databases or SQL database information? As far as, so maybe, Matt, I think the short answer is from a protection standpoint, yes, you can now do that within not just the AI Hub, but within Purview itself. There's now capabilities to protect individual databases, tables, information in there from accidentally being exposed. From Copilot, though, specifically as far as how it can interact with that, I'm not really seeing that capability yet. I'm sure that's going to be coming. I've not looked. That's a good roadmap item that I'm sure Microsoft is looking at. Okay, quiet group. Let's, maybe I did answer everything. Um, Okay, well, it doesn't look like there's too many questions. So, thanks everyone for attending. If you do have questions and we missed it, feel free to reach out to our sales or reach out to me directly. Happy to answer anything that we can. Thank you, everyone.